Hey guys, just wanted to have a bit of a chat, and we'll include a YouTube link below for the full routine here. But wanted to have a conversation about some of the commentary I'm seeing on Facebook with some really good brands, guys like Williams, Western Ringers, all getting beaten up pretty hard on where they're sourcing their product, and particularly that anti-Chinese sentiment. We have our own views, and I'd just like to share some of that as to, as a business, what we do, where we source, why we source the way we do, and the way that I think that people need to have a pretty commercial view about this. And whilst it would be lovely to say that we produce everything in Australia, Australia doesn't have a competitive advantage on all the products that we manufacture, and we do source globally. So in terms of what we do as a business, and look, we're a ma and pa operation, we're not big enough to be small time, but I really sympathise with some of these guys that are getting beaten up. For us, I mean, we source out of a number of countries. All our t-shirts, every single one of our t-shirts comes out of a wholesaler in Melbourne. They all come out of Bangladesh. Now, the reason we source out of Bangladesh, our view is that Bangladesh makes the best high-grade comb cotton t-shirts in the world. They're a beautiful fabric, they don't shrink, they hold their shape. We've never had a t-shirt come back in 3.5 years from a product fault. So we source principally on quality first, price second. So, and I see a lot of comments on Facebook, we don't want to buy cheap shit anymore. You'll never get cheap shit from us. I'm sorry, that's just not us. If you want that, go to one of the big department stores that have lent on their suppliers and you can get something for 20 bucks. Price is what you pay, value is what you get. So just bear that in mind. Now, in terms of our products, every one of our t-shirts, something I'm wearing here, just picked up from our suppliers yesterday. Every one of our t-shirts is printed locally here on the Gold Coast. Always has been. Now, I've got to say, they're expensive. And I know that we could save probably 50% of our printing costs if I did them overseas. We've elected to get them done in Australia because we want to be able to control the quality and we want to be able to support Australia where we can. And as a business, we deliberately try and source Australian-made product or Australian manufacturing where we can and still be relatively competitive. So all our t-shirts, Bangladesh. Our hoodies, in my view, China make the best hoodies. Unashamedly, we source through there. We still print them locally here on the Gold Coast. Every one of our hoodies is printed locally. When I look across the range of product that we have, 95% of our sticker range is printed here on the Gold Coast, manufactured here on the Gold Coast. Now, I know that I could get all my stickers made in overseas countries at a fraction of the cost, and I'm talking probably 30% of the cost of what I currently pay. Again, we elect to go for quality, and we try and manufacture what we can in Australia. Across our other range, look, we've got our new button-up shirts. We've tried to engage, and we're very frank with you here, we've tried to engage with Australian manufacturers to produce some of our product. I haven't had any joy in engaging Australian manufacturers to produce that particular product. We don't have a competitive advantage on labour. China is the manufacturing powerhouse of the world. And unfortunately, if I tried to get that shirt produced, which retails in Australia at 90 bucks, if I tried to get that produced here, it's going to be about $149. Now, guys, I know that you'll drive 6 kilometres to save 4 cents a litre on fuel. And there's no way, no chance in hell, you're going to pay me 150 bucks for a shirt. Because unfortunately, in a global market like it is, you've got the choice at your fingertips to buy globally on the web. Now, we're a tiny business. We're not big enough to be small time. But I really sympathise with a lot of these bigger guys. In the last 6 months, we've exported our product with orders to more than 20 countries. So we compete globally, which means I've got to be price competitive. So there's no way that I can have that product produced in Australia. If people ask me, well, why aren't we doing something in Australia, Tim? Why can't we do it? Well, the reality is, clothing and footwear had really high tariffs imposed on them from imported product in the 70s. They started removing them in the late 70s into the 80s. And effectively, when those tariffs were removed, and effectively a tariff is simply a protectionism. It just tries to support a local economy's manufacturing base artificially. When those tariffs were removed and Australian manufacturers, particularly clothing and footwear, are asked to compete globally, they buckled within 2 years because they can't compete on the labour. Now, as much as people would love to say that we're going to wind back the clock and bring back manufacturing in those elements back to Australia, I'm sorry, my view is that's just nothing more than blind optimism. It's not going to happen. We can't compete, and I'll guarantee you'll never want to pay me $69 or $79 for a t-shirt. You've been fed a diet by retailers of cheap product. That cheap product's going to continue to be out there for some time, and you want the flexibility of being able to buy stuff from all around the world. We compete globally, and this is where the common denominator of this whole conversation is: we need to compete. Now, again, I don't want to harp on the anti-Chinese sentiment, but here's the reality, guys. Tourism, our resource industry, and education, three of the biggest employers within Australia. One of their largest markets is in fact China. So be careful what you wish for. If you all kick up and say we don't want to do anything with China, we want to ban all that product, you better hope they don't take the same view, because all of a sudden some of those major employers in Australia will come under significant duress. Now, you've seen how quickly the virus has spread around the world. There are no tangible boundaries anymore. The people flow and the money flow and the trade flow is global. We're not turning back that clock, guys. So as much as I would love to do more in Australia and manufacture more in Australia, there are some things we simply can't manufacture in Australia. We don't have a competitive advantage. It's the same as, someone's a plumber, someone's a banker, someone's a teacher. They all specialise in particular fields that they're good at. And that's no different in trade. People specialise and countries specialise in things they're particularly good at. So that's my take on it. And look, you're all entitled to your own views. I see some of these Facebook feeds, people, if it's from China, I'm not buying it. Hey guys, I totally understand your view. But the phone that you're responding on Facebook is made in China. The shoes that you're currently wearing, 95% of the time, they're coming out of China. The cars you drive are manufactured overseas. You can't have your cake and eat it as well, guys. And if, in all honesty, if you think that we can effectively lock out particular countries and ban their product, then you believe in fairies in the corner garden. It's not going to happen. This world needs to have it's a very commercial environment we all operate in. It's challenging. You've all been fed a diet of cheap product. So there's a whole range of dynamics here. It's not a simple, let's just ban that particular supply chain. It doesn't work that way. We've got a new product range coming out very shortly. That product cannot be manufactured in Australia. There are no manufacturers for that product in Australia. It has to be sourced overseas. And I make no apologies for that. As a business, we try and find product and develop our product range to meet the needs of what you guys are after, and product that resonates with your interests around caravan camping, four-wheel drive. So we'll continue to do that, and we will source on quality first, regardless as to the country. Regardless as to the country, we source on quality first, price is second. I'm sure the comments will flow. People will either agree or disagree, but I wanted to put my view forward as to our stance on some of this anti-Chinese manufacturing sentiment. We have to be commercial. We have to be competitive as a business. We intend to be here for the long term, and the only way we can do that is to source from a number of different suppliers, and those different suppliers will be from different countries. That will not change. At the moment, we're trying to diversify that even further where we can. And if we can find more elements of our business that we can economically produce and maintain a viable margin in Australia, we will certainly do that. But I'm not going to hide behind the label of, and I see plenty of brands out there doing this, designed in Australia, manufactured overseas. Guys, be very transparent on this. 95% of the brands coming into Australia that you wear, that you currently wear, that are in your wardrobe, are produced overseas. It's not going to change. Look, happy to engage anyone. If you're a manufacturer out there in Australia and you've got something that that we currently have in our range, and you want to try and do business with us, I would love to hear from you. I would love to hear from you. That's I guess that's our take on it. As I say, everyone's got their views, but my wife's giving me the wind up, so that'll do. It wasn't a rant. I just wanted to get my view across. Everyone's getting beaten up on Facebook and certainly some really good brands, which I think is probably unjustified, to be perfectly honest. We've got to be commercial and have a mature conversation about manufacturing, and there's my 10 cents worth. Have a good one.